One of the big questions that a lot of LEGO fans have is always which LEGO Star Wars sets are going to disappear for good this year. Which LEGO Star Wars sets do I need to go and buy really quickly before they stop getting manufactured and disappear off of retail store shelves? And we're going to answer that question in this video. LEGO Star Wars is one of the most important themes in the LEGO universe. It is a massive theme with tons of sets that have been released over the years. It has been going for a long time, and Star Wars of course is one of the most popular brands, movie franchises of all time, and that has not slowed down in recent years with TV shows and theme parks and all sorts of different things being based on the Star Wars universe. So of course Star Wars LEGO sets are as popular as they ever have been, and there are tons of them available, which means we have tons of them retiring, and we have 27 Star Wars sets that will be retiring at the end of 2023. So in this video I'm going to quickly breeze through these sets so you can see exactly what the sets are, you can see some information about each of them, and then you can decide if you want to go and buy that set either as a fan or a collector, or as an investor if you want to buy the set before they start to go up in value. So let's just jump in, and right here at the top we have the AT-AT, of course one of the most iconic vehicles in the Star Wars world. We have 75288 is the set number here. 1,267 pieces and 6 minifigures in this one. Price per piece is 13 cents, a little bit on the higher side for this set. That is because the MSRP is $170 for those 1,267 pieces. This was released a couple years ago, back in August 2020. So by the time it retires at the end of December 23, that's going to be a shelf life of over 3 years. But we will be saying goodbye to the AT-AT if things continue as they currently are. And again, these things could change. LEGO Group do change their retirement dates on some sets. And as we move into the second half of the calendar year, these changes will become even more scarce, and we will land and settle on the actual sets that are retiring this year. So the AT-AT is the first in this lineup of Star Wars sets. Next up we have the Mandalorian and the Child. So this is a brickhead set that has been on the shelves for a long time now. Set number 75317. 295 pieces in this one. No minifigures of course. Price per piece is pretty reasonable with 7 cents. MSRP is $20, but you've been probably able to get it for a lot cheaper than that because it's heavily discounted a lot of the time. This was released in August 2020, around the same time as that AT-AT, retiring December 2023. Now we do need to remember that brickheads typically has a much shorter shelf life than the rest of the Star Wars theme, and so this over 3-year shelf life for this set is very abnormal, and this is really long for a brickhead set. So that is the Mandalorian Child retiring at the end of 2023, finally, some of you may say. Next up we have the Razor Crest. In the US this has been an exclusive to Amazon, so you haven't seen this in Walmarts or in Targets or other retailers. You could find it in LEGO stores of course, and you can get it on Amazon, and it is set number 75292 with piece count of 1,023 pieces, 5 minifigures in this one. Price per piece of 14 cents, pretty high on this, with an MSRP of $140. It has not been discounted very heavily in the US. That exclusive nature means Amazon doesn't really have a reason to discount it very often. There has been some Prime Day deals over the course of the life of this set, but in general it's hard to find at a discount. It was released in September 2020 and will retire at the end of December 2023 as things currently stand. Again, that will be a shelf life of over 3 years on the Razor Crest. Now this set has been remade into a bigger, better UCS version since the release of this set of course, so some buyers are going out to the bigger version, and that could impact the performance of this set as an investment in terms of the value going up over time, because some buyers will of course go buy the bigger, better version instead of buying this one if the price goes to 2 or 3 times what it was when it was in stores. So the Razor Crest also retiring in 2023. Next up we have the Child. So this is the buildable version of the Child from the Mandalorian TV show. Set number 75318 with 1,073 parts in this one. This also does come with a minifigure version of the Child, so that is a bonus thrown in there, and it is a price per piece of 8 cents. Pretty good on that. MSRP of $90. You could usually get it at a discount. Released October 2020, so we are seeing a long shelf life for some of these Star Wars sets so far. Retiring December 2023, once again a shelf life of more than 3 years if this remains to be true. Next up we have the Imperial TIE Fighter. Now there's always some form of TIE Fighter not too far into the distance when it comes to LEGO sets. This is set number 75300 with 432 pieces. 3 minifigures in this one. Price per piece of 10 cents. MSRP on this was $45. Once again, it is a set that is not hard to find on discount. Released in January 2021 and retiring at the end of December 2023. So that'll be a shelf life of just under 3 years by the time this one disappears off the shelves. Next up, we have Luke Skywalker's X-Wing fighter. This is 75301. Once again, it is another ship that is so iconic that there's always one around. And again, this is a set that has been remade recently in a new, better, bigger version for UCS. So there is an incredible X-Wing out there that you can pick up right now on the store shelves. 474 pieces in this one with 4 minifigures and 11 cents price per piece. MSRP of $50 on this, released in January 2021, the same time as that TIE Fighter we just saw, which again will give it the same shelf life of just under 3 years by the time this one retires. Next up, we have the UCS Republic Gunship. Absolutely incredible set. Now, a lot of UCS collectors are not sold on this set. When this was first released, there was some hesitation around it. I personally love it. I'm a fan of this set. I think it looks great. Set number 75309, 3,292 pieces, of course, being a massive UCS set. 2 minifigures in this, including Mace Windu. Price per piece of 12 cents. MSRP of $400. So, of course, this is an expensive, large set. If you're buying Lego sets for an investment, you do need to consider whether that fits what you want to do, you know, in terms of your strategy. Do you want to sell large sets? Because if you want this set to double in price, then it's going to be $800. And you got to think about that when it comes to which sets you want to invest in. This set was released in August 2021. By the time it retires in December 2023, then that will give it a shelf life of just under 2.5 years. Next up, we have Boba Fett's Starship. This is, of course, previously known as the Slave 1. This is 75312, and this is the beloved Boba Fett ship. Now, this one replaced the 20th anniversary Boba Fett Slave 1 that was available a couple of years ago, but this is a much cheaper price point than a lot of the Slave 1 ships we've seen in the past. This one just being a $50 MSRP. It is a 593 piece set with 2 minifigures. Price per piece is pretty cheap on this, of 8 cents. Again, because of the value you're getting here with a $50 purchase price. This was released in August 2021, so by the time it retires at the end of the year, the shelf life will be just under 2.5 years. Next up, we have Ahsoka. This is the Brickhead set, of course, and this was supposed to retire at the end of last year and got pushed out due to demand because, of course, Lego Group knew that the TV show was on the way to Disney Plus, and this is definitely going to continue to sustain demand for this character and interest in this character. This is set number 40539, piece count of 164 in this, with no minifigures, of course, being a Brickheads set. Price per piece is very good on this, with 6 cents per piece. You're getting pretty good value inside the box here for $10 purchase price. It was released in January 2022, and again, Brickhead sets typically have a shorter shelf life than a lot of other themes, and so this one was due to have just a 1-year shelf life. By the time it retires now, it will have had a 2-year shelf life, and that is if they do not extend this any further, which is what happened with the Mandalorian and Child Brickhead set. So we will see if this one does go, but right now it looks like it is scheduled to retire at the end of 2023. Next up, we have the Snowtrooper Battle Pack, and a lot of collectors out there love the battle packs, and a lot of investors love the battle packs because sometimes they can do well as an investment. Now, that is not always the case, but sometimes they can. 75320 is the set number on this one, with 105 pieces in the box. 4 minifigures, of course, because that is what this is all about. It is the battle pack of the Snowtroopers. This is a 19 cents price per piece because, of course, it is accounting for some of those bigger parts that make up the minifigures. That is one of the problems with the price per piece calculation. So if you're using it to try and figure out the value inside the box, it treats all the parts equally, and so if there's minifigures, we do need to account for that. And so the high price per piece here, just remember that, you know, we have minifigures and they are very valuable. The MSRP on this was $20, and this was released in January 2022. By the time it retires at the end of December 2023, it will have had a shelf life of just under 2 years. Next up, we have the Hoth ATST, of course, the replacement of the previous ATST that has become a bit of a joke in the Lego investing community. This is set number 75322, and it is a 586 piece set with 4 minifigures, a price per piece of 9 cents on this one, and the MSRP on this is $50. So again, you're getting a pretty good set for $50 here, and it has been selling quite well since this set was released. Released in January 2022, so by the time it retires, it will have had a shelf life of just under 2 years. Next up, we have the Dark Trooper Attack, and this is set number 75324. So this, of course, is from the Mandalorian TV show. We have Luke Skywalker, we have Dark Troopers, epic scene inside of this Lego set. 166 pieces in the box. Now, once again, we have a price per piece of 21 cents, which seems quite high here, but again, we need to remember that the minifigures really kind of add to that, so we gotta account for that. The MSRP is $35 on this. Now, in any case, it can seem like this set is a little overpriced, so if you look at what what's included in the box here for $35 and you compare it to some of the battle packs that have been available for $15 for years, this one doesn't have a whole lot more going for it in terms of the hallway scene around it here to make it $35 in my mind. And so for me, the room for this one to grow in value after it retires is a little bit lower than some of the other sets in this list, but that's just my opinion, of course. This set was released in March 2022 and it will retire at the end of 2023 if everything remains as it currently is. So that is the Dark Trooper attack set. Next up we have Boba Fett's throne room. This is set number 75326. This is a bit of a bigger set than some of those others that we've been looking at so far, with 732 pieces and 7 minifigures. This of course is depicting the Book of Boba Fett TV show, and we have a 14 cents price per piece with an MSRP of $100. This is released in March 2022, and by the time it retires at the end of 2023 it will have had a shelf life of around a year and 3/4. Next up we're looking at the helmets. So this is Luke Skywalker. This is the Red 5 helmet, 75327 with no minifigures, of course, 675 pieces, price per piece of 10 cents. MSRP on this is $70 and it was released in March 2022. So that'll be a shelf life around a year and 3/4. Next up we have the Dark Trooper helmet. This has been exclusive to Target in the US. It is a set number 75343. Piece count of 693 on this one with no minifigures, of course. Price per piece again of 10 cents for that $70 MSRP. Released in March 2022 in the same wave as that Luke Skywalker helmet, and it will have the same shelf life when this one retires. And next up we have some of the diorama sets. So these are interesting because this is going to be the first wave of dioramas that are going to retire. So investors and collectors will be watching what happens with the value of these diorama sets after retirement. This is the Death Star Trench Run. That is 75326 with 665 pieces in this one. No minifigures in these diorama sets. They're just displayable pieces that look great on a shelf. Price per piece of 11 cents on this. MSRP of $70, which can seem a little bit high for what you get in this one, but the demand on this has still been pretty high. It was released in April of 2022 and it retired in December of 2023. So that's going to be a shelf life of just over a year and a half by the time this one retires. Another diorama here, we have the Dagobah Jedi training diorama. This is 75330 with 3 minifigures in it, and this one has 1,000 pieces. This one does have some minifigures. It comes with 3 minifigures. Price per piece is reasonable as well with 9 cents, and this is a higher price of $90, but again you get a lot of parts in this and you do get the minifigures as well. Released the same month in April 2022 and will have a shelf life of just over a year and a half. And then the third diorama that's retiring this year is the Death Star Trash Compactor diorama, 75339. This is 802 pieces. Again, we do have some minifigures in this one. We get 6 minifigures, 4 of which you can see in the image here, but you also get R2-D2 and C-3PO that are behind the wall here. You have a price per piece of 11 cents and an MSRP of $90 on this one. So this was released in April 2022, and by the time it retires in December 2023, it will have had a shelf life of just over a year and a half. So the dioramas, in my opinion, are pretty interesting. I will be watching what happens. I do want to get them on discount because in my opinion, they are a little bit expensive for what you see. Even though the price per piece is not crazy, there are a good number of pieces. Just when you look at them and the detail and different things, this doesn't really feel like it should be a $90 set. It feels like it should be a little cheaper than that. But at the same time, you do get 6 minifigures in this one, so we gotta account for that. So that is the Death Star Trash Compactor. Next up in the Star Wars sets that are retiring in 2023, we have the Republic Fighter Tank. Set number 75342 with 262 pieces in this one and 6 minifigures. A price per piece of 15 cents, which is a little bit high, but again, we gotta account for the minifigures here. This has an MSRP of $40, released at the same time as those last sets in April 2022. So that will be a shelf life of just over a year and a half by the time this set retires. Next up, we have the Justifier, another very, very popular set here. This is set number 75323 with 1,022 pieces, 5 minifigures in this one with a price per piece of 17 cents. MSRP of $170 on this one and released in August of 2022. So by the time this set retires, it will have had a shelf life of under a year and a half. Next up, we have this smaller ATST set. This is targeted to younger LEGO fans. 75332 is the set number with 87 pieces, 3 minifigures, at price per piece of 40 cents, which is a little crazy on this because the MSRP is 35. So I think that is a little high for this set. Released in August 22, retiring at the end of 2023. Next up, we have Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, set number 75333 with 282 pieces and 3 minifigures, of course, including Obi-Wan himself. We have an 11 cents price per piece, which is pretty reasonable on this set for what you get in the box with those 3 minifigures. $30 MSRP. Released in August 22, retiring at the end of 2023 for a shelf life of a year and a half. Next up is the iconic scene from the Kenobi TV show. This is Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. 75334 is the set number with 408 parts. 4 minifigures in this with 12 cents of a price per piece. This is an MSRP of $50 and it was released in August 2022, retiring at the end of 2023 for a shelf life of just under a year and a half. Next up we have the buildable droid. This is BD1 with set number 75335, piece count of 1062 with a minifig version of the droid as well and a 9 cents price per piece. Pretty reasonable. $100 set, but you should be able to get this on discount. Retiring at the end of 2023 and it was released in August of 22 for a shelf life of just under a year and a half. Next up is the Inquisitor transport Scythe. This is 75336 with 924 parts and 4 minifigures. 11 cents price per piece. $100 MSRP. Once again, you should be getting this one at a discount. And this was also released in August 2022 for a shelf life of just over a year and a half. The third last retiring set here is the Ambush on Ferrix. This is 75338, 679 parts and 3 minifigures. 10 cents price per piece with a $70 MSRP on this one. And this was also released in August of 2022. Battle of Endor Heroes. This is another Brickhead Star Wars set. 70623. I love the Brickhead Star Wars sets. They are just phenomenal and so collectible. This is 549 parts with no minifigures, of course. A reasonable price per piece of 7 cents. Brickheads are often pretty good value in terms of the piece count. This is a $40 MSRP though, which is a little higher than a lot of Brickhead sets, but you're getting 5 characters inside the box on this one. This was released this year in May of 2023. It's actually a pretty new set and it is scheduled to retire at the end of 2023. So that'll be a very short shelf life by the time this one retires, with just over a half a year on the shelves. So that could be interesting to watch out for because this one may be low in supply in the aftermarket. And next up we have the Star Wars Advent Calendar. This will be the 2023 Advent Calendar. We do get one every year and this one will be released in September of this year, 2023. Will retire at the end of the year, just on the shelves for a couple of months as we come into the holiday season here, and then this set will retire. So that is 28 different Lego Star Wars sets that are retiring at the end of 2023. Once again, we could have some changes over the next few months, so make sure to keep an ear to the ground. And if you want the full retirement list of all of the other themes and the sets that are retiring this year, you can download it straight to your device in the description down below. I will leave a link there for you to grab that list. So tons to be excited about with retiring Star Wars sets, and I hope you found this useful. I will see you in the next one.